So these religious guys asked Jonah for a sign from God to prove that he wasn't some phony baloney. But Jesus said the only sign they were getting was the sign of Jonah. He talked about how he's like Jonah, but way better. He would be in the earth for 3 days, kind of like Jonah was inside a big fish. Now, if you don't know about Jonah, buckle up for this one. Hundreds of years before Jesus, God sent Jonah to a wicked place called Nineveh. So Jonah, he hopped on a boat with a bunch of Gentiles and went the opposite direction, to Tarshish. Bad move, Jonah. But I gotta admit that Tarshish is fun to say. Go ahead, say it a few times. Tarshish. Okay, knock it out. So God made it storm, and while everyone else was losing their minds, Jonah was asleep. So they woke him up to ask him to help, but Jonah couldn't stop the storm, so they played a game of lots to see who angered God, and of course it was Jonah. So he fessed up about what he did, and they threw him off the boat. Well, you know, like you do. Then God sent a gigantic fish to swallow Jonah and spit him up on the beach 3 days later. Jonah finally preached to the Ninevites, and they all turned to God. Then he ascended a hill overlooking Nineveh just to see what was going to happen next. The only thing he had going for him was a nice shady plant, which God killed to teach him a lesson. Wait, Jesus said he was going to do like this guy? That's right. Listen to this. God sent Jesus to a wicked place called planet Earth. But unlike Jonah, Jesus obeyed God. And one day, Jesus was in a boat, at sea, in a storm, sleeping. Everyone else, that's right, completely unhinged. They wake him up and ask him to help, which he did, because, he's God. Later on, Jesus was led to the cross by Gentiles who played lots to see who would get his stuff. And after Jesus died, he was put in a tomb, which he walked right out of 3 days later. Then Jesus ascended. Not to some hilltop, but into heaven. Oh, and one more thing? I kid you not. One time, Jesus killed a plant to teach his disciples a lesson. Jesus and Jonah had a lot in common. Except whenever Jonah came up short, Jesus delivered the goods. It's like Jesus rewrote Jonah's sad story into a perfect one. That's why Hebrews calls Jesus the author and perfecter of our faith. It says how all the prophets like Jonah and all the other Old Testament heroes were pretty great, but they never got the job done. But in Jesus, they are all made perfect. And here's the best part. We're in on the deal too. The Bible actually says that they are made perfect together with us. In other words, what Jesus did with Jonah's story, he can do with my story and yours. He's got the power to rewrite our stories and perfect our faith.